And we're going to show off the actual physical prototype now. Uh, so, like I said, this is a challenge to myself because I haven't played solo, and so as part of the challenge we posted in the community section of Backerkit, I'm going to challenge myself to a solo game of this. But I'm going to stream, and of course I'm streaming because you can see it. But I'm going to teach you how to play the general game, and then I'll go over the solo mode itself and see what my first solo score ever is going to be. So before I mix up the deck and do a full setup, I'm going to kind of go over the cards in general and what they are. I've kind of already mentioned that this is a 27 card mini game. Every card is double-sided. So you're going to see quite a few different icons and pictures on the cards. They're all pretty easy to identify once you start playing. Three primary colors of the resources, which you can see right up here. The green books are knowledge. The yellow trophies are prestige. And the purple, basically cash stacks or money. Pretty straightforward on that one. Now, we have standard artifacts here across the middle. We have three different types. We have the astonishing antiquities. Of course, we had to make it the okapi because we love okapis here at Weird Giraffe Games. Here in the middle are the cultural curiosities, kind of those pictures and kind of nice pieces of art that kind of really depict culture and give us a good idea of what those cultures represented. And then third is the bygone bones, things that have been dug up, old animals. Maybe it's dinosaurs, whatever it may be, that we like to learn about in exhibits and science museums. And then we have some, so you're going to see some singles, and then you're going to see a couple of these double standard artifacts that might have two of them on it, two different ones. These are because during the game we're going to be creating exhibits in rows, and you want to line up matching icons so you can create kind of two sets that change within the single exhibit. You're going to have this wild one, which is considered a diverse discovery. You're going to see all three colors on it matching these three colors. That kind of shows it works. It actually works for multiple types. Makes it very easy to distinguish. That's considered a rare artifact. Also, rare artifacts are these urns. These are kind of additional in-game scoring for different types of sets or different things you've collected, and immediate scoring just for having built them. But they can't end your exhibit, so you have to be very careful about when you buy them and the timing of it, because then you can't add on to that exhibit anymore. So I'm going to set these urns aside so I don't have to worry about them at the moment. So during setup, it talks about you're basically going to take all the cards, they're mixed up. Each player is going to start with a double resource and a single exhibit. Do pardon my camera, it is adjusting its lighting because I forgot to check a setting. We'll make it work once the cards are back. It won't be so bright on that one. It's adjusting as cards are out. So I'm going to shuffle these. As you can see, there we go. As it's adjusting, you're going to see these cards are double-sided. There's going to be icons on the side. Bottom corner always kind of shows an indication of what's on the other side in some way, but not all the information. So in this case, you can see there's a double resource that's purple. Flip it over, and you can see that the other side is going to be that astonishing antiquity. So as we talked about, or as I started to mention during setup, you're always going to give every player to start the game a double resource and a single artifact. So for a solo game, you're going to set up to the same as a two-player game. So I'm going to give that to myself, and then I need to find a double and then a single for the robot player. So all these urns I'm going to keep left to the side. So we're going to start the game, play through the deck, and then once we need to shuffle the cards, we're going to be adding in the urn cards. So I'm going to make sure I can still see everything. I'm going to put the robot off to the left. Hopefully it's not too bright and it doesn't wash itself out. I don't know if I switched that up on accident. It'll be fine. So then I'm going to take the rest of this deck card. Now in a two-player game, you are supposed to remove so many cards. and put them back in the box. So I believe it says we're removing 5 cards from the game. We're doing this randomly. So whenever I shuffle in this game, I always try to take about half of it, flip them, and then keep shuffling. I'll do that several times, and that keeps the variation within the game a little bit easier to control. And so it's not just you're constantly seeing one side of the cards as you play the game. So I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to set these aside, putting them back in the box for this game. And then we're going to set the deck up to the top. And then we're going to create our rondel system. Now you can kind of create this rondel in a perfect circle however you want, but for a 2-player game you need 5 cards. And we have Beth saying that purple is the second best color. I agree, because blue's better. Blue is better. So purple can be. So I'm going to create the rondel here in the middle. You can kind of do it a 3 across 2. You can kind of space them out, make it look very circular, clock-like. But it's up to you how you do that. But for stream purposes, I'm going to be 2 wide, 3 tall. And you're going to need 1 empty space. And so as we're doing this, we're going around the rondel, which is this circle or loop of action spaces. Slightly different than a standard rondel. Wherever you land, you do an action. And this is wherever you land, you're essentially taking a card, which corresponds to an action. So in a solo mode, it does have the solo player go first and then the robot player. So I'll go and kind of talk through the first turn. Now, we have resources. Over here is the robot who does resources a little bit different. I'll hit that in a second. But I have my 2 purple money to spend. On each exhibit in the upper corner, you're going to see a cost to purchase. In this case, this shown exhibit would cost 2 of the prestige, which I have none of yet, but won't be too hard to pick up as I go around. So on your turn, you can move 1 or 2 spaces. So 1 or 2 spaces around. If it is a resource, you basically take the card as a resource. If it is an exhibit, you can take the exhibit if you can pay for it. There is no change in this game, so you do have to kind of gauge when you're going to buy and not. But you have the choice of 1 or 2 spaces. Now, on the cards we already have, we're going to have room for 2 exhibits. I'm going to move these down a little bit. I'm going to have basically 3 floors in my museum. The top floor is always my resources to show what I can spend. We start with our kind of second floor already filled, and then we're working down to our ground floor. Eventually, we can start that second or first ground floor exhibit whenever we want to, but you can have at the most 2 exhibits going across, and then your third floor is resources. Every exhibit you have, it's going to create a row. Whatever's at the farthest right end is going to have its end exposed, an ability on the end of it. Currently, my ability shows a little meeple icon with the plus arrow. So that plus arrow means that I can move an additional space without paying an additional resource. So typically if you want to move more than 2 spaces on your turn around the rondel, you would have to spend a resource to move past that. But my ability is I can move now up to 3 without spending extra. So I could go 1, 2, 3 for my current turn. Some of these icons might be like, hey, you can flip one of the histories cards. Now, what's right here in the middle of the rondel is considered the history. So kind of you're looking into history and creating, collecting stuff for your exhibit from history to kind of show off, creating that dream of what happened yesterday. Thus, it is history at this point. So you're going to see some, maybe you can rearrange, you're going to have some permanent resources if it's showing, stuff like that, which we'll hit on as we get to them. So starting off, I, of course, have 2 money and a cultural curiosity. The robot player has a money prestige and one of the bygone bones to start with. So we do have an AI system that talks about what it likes to collect and where it likes to put them, which I'll hit on and talk about as I take each of its turns. Now for my turn, of course, I can't afford this third card yet, so I don't see a reason to go all the way to it. So what I like to do is collect as much resources as possible wherever I land if I'm going to take resources. So at this point, I'm going to take the double and put it up here in my second row. I'm going to go and turn those sideways just for camera purposes to show that I do have those resources available to me. But now you see there's 2 empty spots. Now I started here and I moved to here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the top card of the deck and we're going to add it to the space I started in. Now as the current player, now if you're playing with multiple players, the player who just went a soloed, I'm still the current player, I'm deciding which side of the card will now be face up when I place it here in the space I started in. Not where I landed, but where I started. So in this case, I don't mind because I'm looking at the cost of it. I can afford that next time if I get to it. So I can probably end up having that face up. Otherwise, it's going to be a single resource on the other side. I'm going to leave that one face up as is, just so I have a chance at possibly buying it soon. So now we're going to get to the robot turn. So the robot has a bit of an AI system. Pretty straightforward, but there are a couple steps to it to make sure it feels very equal and set up. So on a robot's turn, it will take one of the following actions. If it has no resource cards, it will take a resource. It has a resource card, so it doesn't want to take a resource automatically. If it has 3 resource cards, it only has 1, so this isn't in effect. It would buy an artifact. If it has 1 or 2 resource cards, look at what is face up on the deck. If it is a single resource or a single artifact, it will buy an artifact. Otherwise, it will take a resource. So, now we know what it wants to do. It wants to buy an artifact. So, buying. So, artifact precedence is diverse discoveries, then doubles, then singles, all within 3 spaces. So, within 3 spaces, first card, we're going to check it out. So, if there's nothing within 3 spaces, it would flip a card to get its preferred artifact. If it buys from the 3rd space, there's rules for that. We're going to figure out. So in this first space, it has a double artifact. Diverse discoveries would be the crates. We don't see those yet. So of course, right now we see a double. When it's a double, we're going to figure out the cost. If it's 1, 2, or 3 resources based on the artifact. It is 2 resources. Plus 1, it was flipping or going to the 3rd space. It did not, so it's in the 1st place. So it's still only 2 resources. We're going to discard resource cards to get to this number and the fewest number of cards. So it costs 2 resources. It has 2 resources. So the key thing about this is the robot does not care if it's a matching resource. All it cares is does it have the same or enough total number of resources to meet the need. So it has 2 resources. It's going to discard resource cards to get to the number and the fewest number of cards. So it's going to discard, so we have a discard now. And then we're going to take that artifact. And that has a rule for placement as well. Pretty straightforward on this one. So it will try to match the artifact type to create a larger set. Okay. So right now, over here it has blue. It doesn't have either of these. If there is a choice between 2 placements for the artifact, it will place it to the right of the exhibit, over the left. If the artifact is a double, the artifact will be placed in a way to extend the larger set. If the artifact cannot be matched, the robot will make a new exhibit. Easy enough. Double exhibit. 2 exhibits. So we'll kind of make sure we can still see that on screen right there. There we go. It's going to be a little bit hard space-wise. We'll make it work as we're streaming tonight. So because it went to a new one, it's been placed, and so now we're going to get a card for its starting location. Let's verify the rule. if there's a rule face up or face down. Okay, so history's placement. If the robot has 2 or more resource cards, it would place the card exhibit side up. Otherwise, it will place resource up. So, if the robot has 2 or more resource cards, it does not. So it would place the resource side face up. Straightforward, easy enough. Back to my turn. So we just go through those general steps each time for the solo, checking how many resources it has, and then verifying kind of what it currently has for what it would place here in the exhibit. We're back to 2 resources for myself. The nice thing is I've talked about being able to afford this card. Typically I'd be able to go 1, 2, spend an extra resource if I want to go 3, but my ability right here on this card, I can move 1 extra move on my turn, so I can go 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go here, pay for it with this matching resource card. Makes it easy. I don't have to overspend for it. That card goes to discard. I'm going to take this card. Now I have a choice. Do I start a new exhibit, or do I extend this current exhibit? Now, if I go to the left, I'd have to tuck it under, covering the ability of this new card. But it does break up the set, so now I have 3 different sets. And I want the longest continuous matching set. So I'm going to actually tuck it the opposite way, making a set of 2 and 1. It does cover my ability, but now I have a permanent resource of knowledge as long as this is uncovered. So I'm going to take it that way. Do it right here. Go and get this next card. Do I want this to be a resource or an exhibit? Oh, it's a double-sided exhibit. So which one do I want it to be? I will make it that one because I like that color right now. And welcome to chat, Jess. I hope you're doing well. Saying, nice to see the dreams of yesterday on the table. Hope folks are excited about this micro game. Indeed, I'm excited for it. It packs a nice little punch in 30 minutes that a lot of micro games nowadays don't quite give me the same satisfaction or depth of strategy as this game. Now, I'm sure there's some out there. I just not have found as many that hit the same itch as this one does. Thanks for the kind words, Jess. Hope you're doing well. So back to the robot's turn. We're going to kind of go through its standard steps. If it has no resource cards, it will take a resource. Straightforward, easy enough. So when it takes resources, the robot will take the closest face-up double within 3 spaces, no double. If there isn't one, it'll take the closest face-up single within 3. So first is face-up single right there. And then we're going to take the next card from the deck. And so the rule for placing it is if the robot has 2 more, it does not. So resource side up. Okay, back to my turn. So I have 2 options here. Kind of keeping in mind what the robot is likely to do. If I take the resource, it's going to be here, 1, 2, 3, has a resource, so it's going to prefer to attempt to buy an artifact. Well, actually, it may not, because we'd have to check the deck, which we haven't done yet, which we're about to shuffle. So there's no guarantee we'd want to buy this, but there'd be a high chance, in my opinion, that we would actually end up buying this, and it would be nice if we could buy that one. So I think better off, we're going to be overspending a little bit. It happens. It's okay to overspend occasionally. It's nice to splurge when you know it counts and is worth keeping. I'm going to splurge. That's a single money resource. I'm going to spend my double. It overspends. It's okay. But that's going to fit right into my lineup to get me a triple length exhibit going right here. I'm going to push these together just for the purposes of streaming. Typically, I would leave them spread out because it does look nice on the table when you have space. but this does show when you're tidy on space, you can easily cover them and fill them together as such. So now I'm out of resources. I still only have one exhibit though, so I have plenty of room for expansion and getting different types of exhibits. So now I need to go to the deck. Deck is empty. Pardon me. When the deck is empty, you have to shuffle. Easy enough. We're going to shuffle all those discards with all these urns. Now, I kind of did set myself up for a slightly harder game, and that I left all of these urn cards in when I took 5 cards out. Typically, you would deal the cards to each player, take 5 cards out, and then set the urns aside. And so this may have made it actually harder for myself by leaving all these urn cards in, because the robot AI system really likes urn cards, and it is not limited in the same way a player would be for using urns. So it may end up with a lot of urn cards unless I end the game early. So I'm really going to have to watch out for what it does. But part of it's a challenge and showing off how the robot works. Best way to do that is having the most chances for that to trigger. And it also gives everyone who actually accepts the challenge to go play potentially solo or against someone else to get a better score than me. But if you do enjoy solo games, there are actually multiple levels of difficulties for the robot system. So you can kind of play standard, or you can play the hard version, where the robot would start with a discovery artifact and 2 double resource cards. So the discovery artifact, of course, is that kind of wild one. So it works with any artifact it's picking up, and having 2 double resource cards, it can basically purchase anything it wants immediately. Very hard to counteract and get ahead if you let it start that way. So that definitely is a harder version for the robot AI to play against. Or you can go super extreme, and the robot starts with an urn and 3 double resource cards. That urn is some automatic points on it, so we have to be very careful in letting it get more urns, because it doesn't actually add it to the end of an exhibit like a regular player game, which I'll show you as I get to that. So it can collect as many urns as it wants. Typically, a player can only get 2. End-game trigger in this is typically when a player, in this case me, could get 2 urn cards, 1 for each exhibit, or we run out of cards for refilling this rondel system. At this point, I've probably shuffled enough. I'm trying not to look at how I shuffle these, because it does expose a couple of the cards. I don't want to kind of stack the deck per se in my favor. So I'm going to set that down now and see what's there. Oh, urn card on top. That's a dangerous. So I'm going to put it where I started. I'm going to put the resources there, because I definitely don't want that urn available quite yet. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the robot player. Of course, it has 1 resource card. So when it has 1 resource card, we're going to look at the face up top of the deck, which is a resource. So if it is a single resource or single artifact, it would be buying an artifact. Not available at the moment. Otherwise, it would take a resource. So it's going to take a resource because it's a double resource. In this case, there are no double resources within 3 spaces, so it's going to take the first single. I'm going to stack that up. It does have 2 singles now. So now we're going to refill into that space it started from based on its placement rules. If it has 2 or more resource cards, it will place the card exhibit side up. So in this case, the exhibit is this diverse discoveries. You're going to notice that these diverse discovery cards are more expensive to purchase. You're going to see the symbol in the top. Just going to show the 3 different resources /3 with kind of that water droplet symbol. So this is basically 2 different ways you can pay for this card. You can either spend 1 of each type of resource, or 3 of the same resource. So pretty straightforward on that. I'm going to have to be very careful because I would like to have that. So I also need to start gauging what the robot's going to be doing on each of my turns as well. So I now see two resource options going on. I'm going to keep in mind over here I do have a permanent green showing. So having that ability to have that option plus a little bit more, I'm going to keep and pay attention to. I think I need to be very careful on this. So standard rules is I can go 1 or 2 spaces. But now if there are 2 face-up artifacts showing, there's additional rules for that, which I have not encountered yet. I will go over when they hit. So I could choose to pay 1 resource to the discard pile for each additional space. Just say to the discard pile, I want to make sure if I can use, so my inherent resource may pay for an artifact using this inherent resource without discarding the card. Player cannot use this resource for anything other than paying for an artifact. So it's very clear in the rules, I could not use this resource for moving an additional space. So with that in mind, I'm probably going to want to start collecting a variety of resource types because these diverse discoveries and earns are starting to come out. Since I have a permanent green, I'm going to go with the yellow prestige as my resource. And then I'm going to take this, place it either way. So well, now we're looking at earns or diverse discoveries. Either way, that does not seem great for me to have out for it. So I'm going to make it the discovery side of it. So we're back to the robot. At this point, it has 2 resource cards. If it has 1 or 2 cards, look at what's face up on the deck, which is an artifact. If it is a single artifact, it will buy an artifact. So it's wanting to buy an artifact from these first 3 spaces. So artifact preference is diverse discoveries, then doubles, then singles. Artifact cost is not a factor for the robot. If no artifacts are within 3 spaces, as shown, it will flip a card to get its preferred artifact. Let me verify preference on. So I believe earns are considered singles, but they're rares. Because it's diverse discoveries, which would be the crates, is its first preference. Then singles. If the artifact is an earn. Yeah, so I'm going to show you real quick. We can kind of see what's on the bottom of these and make it so we don't have to flip each one. We have a single astonishing antiquity, we have a single earn, and then we have a double under this. So its preference is a diverse, which would be a crate, which it does not see. Next we're going to check for doubles. It sees as double, so we're going to go for the double here. So it's going to flip it over per the rules so that it can take this one. It would cost 2 resources. It has 2 resource cards. So figure out the artifact cost. 1, 2, or 3 resources based on the artifact, plus 1 for flipping or going to the 3rd space. So at this point, it has flipped to go to the 3rd space. Flipped and gone to 3rd space. So that's 2 plus 1. It would be 3 resources. So it does have a rule. Now, it only has 2 cards. It needs 3. The rule states, so we're going to discard cards to get the number and the fewest number of cards. If the number needed exceeds the number of resource cards the robot has, discard all of its resources. Straightforward enough. We're going to discard all of its resources, and it's going to then build this into its exhibit. Now there's 2, now we have to check the next rules. So it's wanting to match the artifact type to create a larger set. There's a choice between two placements for the artifact. It will place to the right of the exhibit over the left. The artifact is a double. The artifact will be placed in a way to extend the robot's largest set. Okay, so we have two choices, here or here. Both, we'll show it here. On this side or up here. So we're going to have to go over the rules of what it prefers. So if there's a choice between two places to place the artifact, it will prioritize the first exhibit over the second, and the right of the exhibit over the left. So the first exhibit, the top one in this case, it's going to prefer that one. So we're going to place it right there. Scrunch those together just for the screen. There we go. And now we do have to draw the card, replace the histories. And then this is if the robot has two or more resource cards. It does not. So it places the resource side face up. Okay, so now we're hitting on the rule if two artifacts are face up. This is another one of the rules for the game because maybe you can't afford to purchase what's there. Good night, Jess. Thanks for dropping by. I do appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful evening and wonderful weekend. And hope your dinner is great as well. So for an alternative action, if only artifact cards are available within two spaces and the player does not wish to buy them, they may draw cards from the deck until reaching a resource card. So even if you didn't want to buy them, you could still do this action, not if you just can't afford it. So I can't afford it, so at this point I'm kind of forced to do this action. So what I'm going to do, they can draw cards from the deck until reaching a resource card. They take the resource card, then place all cards not taken into the discard. So we're going to take it. We're going to look. So it's not super explicit in the way this you can do it. Either you can check both sides of the cards for a resource, or I've also played this where it's just the next face-up resource. Tonight I'm going to play the next card with resources on it because some of these cards, since they're all double-sided, some of these cards don't have resources on them at all. I'm just going to go one by one until one of the cards has a resource of some type on it. This first card, as you can see, earn and exhibit. I'm going to pass on that. This one has an earn and a double resource. So I'm going to take that double resource, take it. Every card I passed by did have to go to the discard pile. So then the player, myself, is going to flip one or two, take the player then flips the card one or two spaces from the start position, place it into the start position. So I can take one of these cards, flip it over, and put it right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this one, get those resources shown, because I definitely want some more. Yeah, get out of here, non-resource cards. Now, fortunately, there's a lot of resources face up now for me to aim for. In the next, going back to the robot turn, we know when it does not have resources, it will take a resource card. And when it takes resources, to the closest face-up double. 1, 2, face-up double. Right there. Easy enough. Make a nice, quick, fast turn for the robot. It's going to take this card to fill in the space where it moved from. Per the rule, it's going to check what it is. If it has two or more resource cards, which it does not, it would place it face up. Otherwise, it will place resource side up. It does not have a resource. If both sides of drawn cards are exhibits, it'll place the card as is. So from the deck, this was earn side, I think. I was talking too much. I didn't pay attention to how it picked it up. I think it was earn side. So I'm going to leave it as the earn side as is, per the rule. So now I'm back to choices again. Basically, do I want a single green or a purple green? Now this is kind of tricky. And so what I'm thinking is... Oof. So this is tricky either way, but thinking about the robot actions and how it triggers, I know what the robot will do next. So I can decide what I take and what that means the robot will do. So I'm basically sitting here deciding what resource card I take, and does that allow the robot to then take a discovery card or an earn card. Both are pretty tricky and scary to have it take. Granted, earns. This earn is a 1 point earned plus 6 points for a set of one of each type. Do I want it to do that? Or do I want it to just get discovery? No, we haven't let it get discovery yet. That just extends a set. I'm kind of okay with that. It would leave the earn available for me to potentially take in a little bit. So what I'm going to do to make sure the discovery is available, which it needs to be within 3 spaces, I need to go 2 and take this resource. So by doing that, I'm going to take this one. Oof, I wouldn't be able to afford that earn, so I'm going to do it resource side just so it doesn't leave it as an option for it immediately. Okay, and so now with the robot, I'm going to talk through how I already saw this possibility. If it has 1 or 2 resource cards, it has 1. It would look at what is face up on the deck, which is, I assumed because I was looking at the card I was moving, but in this case it still triggers the same. It has 1 or 2 cards right there. It is a single resource or artifact, which it is. It will buy an artifact. So then we go to buying artifact preferences. Its preference is a diverse discovery. So right there we know. It's gone to the 3rd, so it's taken an extra resource. So technically it requires 4 resources to buy. It doesn't have it, but per the rules, it just discards all of its resources to take it. So it's still going to be able to take it. Not super ideal, but we planned for it. And then placement. With these, it doesn't match any of the colors. So, of course, it will try to match the artifact type to create a target. If there's a choice between 2 placements, place to the right over left. But it does have a preference for extending its longest set. Yep, diverse discoveries will extend the robot's longest run. Straight up, that's the rule for it. Has the longest run of 2 blue right now, so it's going to extend its blue run right there. And then we need to fill in what it took. It's going to take it, hold this face up until we verify. It will place the resource side face up. So back to me. Now I have a choice. I could take another double resource, or I can move on to the earn. Would cost me 3 of the same resource. 3 with a little equal sign on here. Let's see if we can get it to show on screen a little bit better. There's a little 3 equal drop. So in this case, if I wanted to do 3 equal, I could, but it would be very wasteful. Beth was saying, gotta extend the blue, aka 4th best color, because orange, aka the very bestest of the colors, is too OP. No, it's not too OP, it's too O-copy. Yes, I just threw in a fun O-copy pun for you. But I say blue is the best color, not the 4th. But per the rules, we did follow the rules. It does have to extend that larger set. Yes. Oh, copy. And you could say tonight I am your oh copy guide to this game. So back to my turn, I was talking about I could afford a triple resource of the same, but it would spend 2 of my double cards wasting 2 resources because I could go 1, 2, 3 green. Instead, I kind of hate to do this. Because I wish these were being flipped over. But I'm not going to waste resources. I'm going to take one more resource card. And now I can really buy just about anything. It kind of screws with me a little bit. I may have a hard time beating this robot. Definitely. Do I want that urn face up? Same type of urn. No, I think I need a different ability. I'm going to go exhibit up for now. Okay, that's where I started. Actually, not where I took from where I started. That's better. So we're now going to go around. It's priorities, no resource, so it's going to take a resource card. First double is going to be this double purple. We need to shuffle again. We're down to 4 cards, so this game could end pretty quickly if I don't start spending resources, because there's not enough cards to fill the histories right here in the middle. That also can end the game, on top of a actual player, being myself, or if it's a multiplayer game, any player, getting 2 earned cards. The robot can collect more than 2 though, so we don't count that in the standard in-game rule. So I need to So when it for its placement, it will place. It's going to place the resource side up no matter what on this one. Started here. Okay, I think I need to spend a resource, so I'm going to spend to buy an artifact. So the extra one So I want to buy this artifact. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spend an extra resource to go 3 spaces and then pay its cost, that one. And then use that to... Do I extend this to a double? Or did I do it down here and start a different one? Point-wise, I'm sitting at... It'd only be a 1 point difference. I think having two abilities open face is better. Resource plus this ability, which this ability shows. It's a little hard to see. It is the meeples with 4 different arrows, -1. Spend a resource to buy any. The player may pay for any artifact in histories, but they must spend an extra resource to do so. So now I can kind of buy whatever I want, which is pretty nice. That card was here, so I started here. It's the same urn. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't want the urn face up yet. So now we're going to go back to the robot. It has 1 resource card, so it's going to check the top of the deck. It is a single artifact, so it wants to buy an artifact. It's going to prioritize discovery, diverse discovery, which is on the bottom of this one. But there's other face-up ones first, so it won't flip that unless it has to. It's going to then move forward to the next. This is a single, so it's going to take the urn. It's going to cost it 3. Spend the 2 it has. Discard that urn to the side. For the robot, you don't actually put urns on the end of an exhibit. Typically, the urn would cap off your exhibit, stop you from building on it. Robot, since it can collect multiple, I'm going to set them up here where you can see them, but it can collect multiple, so we really do have to watch out. And then Beth says, speaking of buying things, you don't need 5 stacks of cash to buy Dreams of Yesterday. It's only $9. That is correct. And don't forget, if you purchase that, back us at that $9 level, you also get the high quality print and play along with any physical pledge level. But of course, we want to have you go in more than just $9. Take the next step and back for the Motley party game as well, which is a 27 card mini party game as well. All your support is greatly appreciated. I'm going to do a quick refresh on the page and see where we're at total wise. So we're at $5,279. So that is just $21 away from the stretch goal. Can we hit it while we're still on stream? Only you can help us do that. So let's hit that. We'll keep on playing. We're getting semi-close to the end of the game. So it just bought from here. It's going to take this card. And because it has no resource cards, it's going to go resource card face up. So now I can go 1 or 2. I could buy anything, but honestly, I need more stuff for my exhibits. So I'm going to pay 1 knowledge, 1 prestige for this exhibit. And it's the same ability as the dinosaur I have down here right now. But part of it is I've seen these urns that like to have all 3 types of the artifacts in the exhibit. And I'm hoping I can get back around and flip that urn over before it gets to it. Or it comes back into play later. So I'm going to take a big risk here. Since I have two different blue runs going. One in my top, one in my lower. I'm going to let my lower one stand as a blue run. And I'm going to take a... I want to take a big risk and cover this, but I also want that resource to start buying stuff in a little bit. Since this has the same ability, do I cap off my pink, though? I want to extend that pink, though. Big risk, big rewards, so I am going to keep it in the bottom one, so I can maintain this ongoing resource. It's a hard decision. Just to show it off, I'm going to leave the O copy on top. It's more than just an O copy decision. It's a good decision. So I started here. I want that exhibit face up. I need more exhibits face up now. Let's see. It has no resources. It's going to want resources prioritized double, so I can take that one. That ends that. Shuffle the discard. Angel, is that a challenge for who can have the best segue? You know how well I can find the most random ways to segue back. But Beth is doing very well tonight, and I do appreciate posting and the links and all this extra information. I was hoping that the new Nightbot setup would be working, which would be posting some links automatically, but granted, those start to work once we have enough chat happening, so we may or may not see them happening tonight if we don't have enough chats happening in a certain time limit, because it doesn't like to just spam links for us. But once we get to future chats where we're, especially since we're trying to plan a motley party game stream with more of the Weird Giraffe crew and possibly other content creators, and where you can play along and chat with us. Hopefully we can get a start triggering during that as well. But do look forward to that. We'll be announcing that soon, both on the Backerkit community announcements, along with on all of our socials as well. So if you're not already in our Discord, following our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, get in on all those, follow along, because that's where we do all of our announcements for new games, new campaigns, what conventions we'll be at, what we're doing. So now that I've done distracting myself with that shuffle, I'm going to take this card. It likes to... Oh, it has 1 resource, so it's going to place resource side face up. This robot really likes resources face up, which is really messing with me because I want more. And I guess I'm stuck at taking a resource because I'm not gonna pay to go. I can't pay for that 1 artifact, so I'm gonna take the resource. And then what's on that? An urn. Ooh, I could afford that. Yeah, I could afford that and the robot can't reach it right now. So robot has one resource card, so it's going to check the deck. It has an artifact face up on it. It's a single artifact, so it's going to want to buy an artifact. So first things first, no artifacts are face up. So then it's going to check what's on the undersides of those, checking for priorities. Bottom one of this one is a discoveries, which it really likes, so it's going to flip that one. It would have to pay 3 plus 1, 4. It's just going to lose one card. It's really getting a discount on all these. Again, it's going to do everything it can to extend its longest run. So it's going to continue expanding this run of Bygone Bones over here. Which, if I'm not careful, it will run away with that on Bones. Now it's placing this one. It's going to place the resource face up where it just took that from. Nope, where it started from, sorry. Now I'm here. I'm basically sitting at two choices here. I know that the robot is going to take a resource next turn, no matter what. So it's going to skip this turn. So I can take this. It's going to then go here, leave me with those two. Whatever I place here. Or I go straight to this one, buy it now. If I buy it now, it's going to cap off. But I could cap off my lower exhibit because it has the set of blue and orange. I might just do that because I'm struggling getting exactly what I need and getting exhibits, because then that leads me back around to still be able to afford to buy this one later. No, triple. You know what? I like to press my luck when playing these games. As Beth and Angel like to hear me say, let's risk it for the brisket. So I'm going to actually buy this one, overspend a little bit, allow this one to go into my lower exhibit. So this extends my copies, blues on the outside, but it gives me another permanent resource, which will really help me out to be able to start buying stuff as it comes back around my turn again. This card, I'm going to leave exhibit up. Should I have better chances? Nice, Angel. Yelling it in the living room. Risk it for the brisket biscuit, though. Yes. So, got to make those barbecue breakfast sandwiches. It makes me think of back when I was in Texas. There was a barbecue place that did breakfast barbecue tacos. Some of my favorite breakfasts to get. But a brisket biscuit, not on a Triscuit, is worth it to risk it. That card should have gone there. That's where I started. So now it's going to want resources because it has none. It's going to take the double. Shuffle the deck again. We're down to 2 cards, so unless I spend some resources, we're down to a couple more turns here. Yes, the quad rhyme. Can't always rhyme, but sometimes it's just time. Okay, let's see what's on top. It's going to do this. It's going to prioritize placing this resource side face up. Resource. Okay. So now this is the harder way to do this. It may not be worth it. Is it? It could be. Because it's going to want to buy. It's going to want to buy the double. Yeah, I'm going to do it that way. It is what it is. go single resource, take this card, exhibit. Oh, I probably took the wrong one. I'm playing solo. I'm allowed to retcon, right? I'm going to take this one, seeing the card that's on the top. I pay attention to how much it costs. I'm going to do that. It has a double resource. Its priority. So if it has one or two resource cards, look at what is face up on the deck. If it is a single resource or single artifact, it would buy. Otherwise, it would take a resource. Well, it's checking for that card. It can't. So it's in the otherwise phase to take a resource. It takes a double. And at this point, there are no cards to refill the history. So that was a really kind of odd ending because the way the robot checked the deck and was forced to take that. Kind of in our favor, probably, that it didn't keep buying stuff. I don't know if I expanded my exhibit long enough in this case. I was hoping to get back around to potentially buy one more thing. So I probably kind of messed myself up on that one. That I didn't spend an extra card, get cards back into the discard by not buying something. It may have hurt me. So now we're going to add up points. So general scoring is resources unspent or nothing. So I'm just going to take all these resource cards, set them to the side. Take all these cards that are in the history still, set them to the side. So it's easier to look at our scoring setups. So mine, I did not do great this game, I will say. But for first game against as a solo against the robot, it feels like I did okay. So now for the urns, it goes to the side of the exhibits. It can help either exhibit at the end of the game. The robot can buy as many urns as it wants. The robot will not end the game by purchasing urns. So we already went through that. So for standard scoring, this urn really wanted all three types. But let me verify. So discoveries can count as any type of standard artifact and add to the set type of what comes before and after them. Discoveries do not count toward urn bonuses, however, only set scoring. So that's very important in this case, because this urn wanted set of all three types of artifacts in an exhibit. So in this case, it wouldn't matter which one we applied it to, because neither one have all three. This does have two discoveries as wilds, but it does not have, unfortunately, anything to help the urn. So I'm just going to put it here and make it easier to see that. So that's a single point. Any single artifact exhibit is 1 point each. So we got one for the urn. We're currently at 3. Another one there is 4. So then this right here is a string of 4 of the same type. So they could, these discoveries could add to the type of what comes before and after it. In this case, there's nothing before it, so they can only count for what is after it. They can't count as a unique type because there's nothing before it. So in this case, they are only bygone bones. So there are 4 of them. In this case, we do have a scoring table in the rule book. So a set of 4 in a row is 10 points. That's a pretty significant jump. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 10, 14 points. Solid score. Nothing wrong with that score. Now let's see if I got anything near close enough to even match or get close to that. I don't think I did. So I have 1, 2, 3 singles. That's 3 points for my singles. A double is worth 3 points. So I was 1, 2, 3 plus 3 is 6, and then a set of 3 is worth 6. So 12 points. So pretty close game. I did lose, unfortunately, 12-6 against the robot, but it could have been a lot worse if it had gotten more. There were some earns, so I did kind of start to pay attention to what the robot was about to be doing and at least prevent some of what it was going to be taking. But getting 2 of those discoveries in a row really shifted its collection high. So I did take a risk near the end of the game, and that I was hoping for one more round around, one more loop around the histories. Really, I should have taken this urn because the card I took was this double one. So that basically was a 3-point card. Say I'd taken this urn at the end, as I was thinking about, but was hoping to go around the loop an additional time instead. If I'd bought this, it would have been 2 points plus 3 points for a set of blue and orange together. So this would have been 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 6. It would have been a tie game at 14. So kind of pressed my luck a little bit on that one, and it did not pay off. So unfortunately, that biscuit was a bit dry. Did not have some moist brisket on it, so I did not make the risk worth it. But still, very fun try, worth playing, very enjoyable, definitely worth playing again. So definitely go check out that campaign. I'll go ahead and jump back over here. I think you can see a little bit more on this one. Dry biscuits, the punishment fits the crime. Indeed, it was not a buttery biscuit. It was kind of a dry scone, per se. Nothing against scones, but sometimes a nice southern biscuit, nice and buttery, hits the spot, you know what I mean? But indeed, we've had some fun tonight talking about the game. Again, this is a 27-card game. Every card double-sided, from resources to artifacts to urns, special discoveries. It's all right there. Right now, the rules we've set up, it's probably going to be booklet style to fit in the box. But all of our rules currently print on 2 sheets of paper. So if you end up with the print and play, it might be set up that way. We'll see if it, since we're still doing some final changes on it, there could be some changes. But as you can see on the campaign itself, we have changed from what you're going to see some of these plastic kind of pocket boxes. We're shifting to a more standardized cardboard box that fits card games. Part of it is they ship a little bit better. They don't waste space, but also can include more of the beautiful artwork that Beth Sobel has done for us in this game. I'm going to go reload the campaign now and see how we're doing. We're still $21 away from that stretch goal, so please go share the campaign. Go tell your friends, your family about it. Help us hit that first stretch goals, and you'll get some extra cards for this game. I believe there'll be some earn URN cards that will increase the scoring capabilities or change the score capabilities. So it looks like new earns reward discovery and another artifact type in your exhibit. So a different score type, including the wild discoveries, which I don't believe are currently included in the base game. And then there's some single resource cards that can be used one of 2 types. So it's an either or, and it's not a double resource, it's a single, but you have a choice what type it is. So indeed, we do have some fun mini expansions. And talking about mini expansions, if because you can get your hands on the Dreams of Tomorrow, probably one of my favorite mini expansions. If all the games we have in the Weird Giraffe lineup is the mini expansion for Dreams of Tomorrow, has one of my favorite sets of artwork in that. I don't have it next to me, but definitely worth checking out, getting your hands on. I can highly recommend the artwork, the gameplay. And Dreams of Tomorrow does play very similar in that you're going around a rondel system. Wherever you land, you're getting resources or performing an action to basically take a card and stream it together into a conscious dream segment, kind of as we've done here, but this is an exhibit of those dreams. So those dreams have happened. The the kind of the Earth was destroyed or different things happened, and now we're creating historic exhibits portraying all the issues that happened from Dreams of Tomorrow. So indeed, this is a sequel. So we're dreaming of what happened yesterday instead of dreaming of what's going to happen tomorrow. It's a little too late to warn them, but we can warn the future by talking about what has happened before. So I do thank everyone who joined in, jumped into chat. Big thanks to Beth and Angel, of course, for all the hard work they've been putting in for this campaign and helping out and talking to the community, sharing it, answering questions. Cough, cough, spin-off. Yeah, so I agree. It's hard to say if this is truly a prequel, sequel. So best words, it is indeed a spin-off, and that is not perfectly in line one way or the other. I do like how Aaron Game Enthused put it. Not quite a sequel, not quite a prequel. You could just call it a quel. Kind of a fun way to put it, but definitely a lot of fun playing. I'll probably be trying my hand at multiple other more plays of the solo to post my scores in the community challenge that Beth has posted today. So right now my score stands at 12 with the robot 14. I'm sure y'all can beat it. Go check it out. There's a link for the print and play, or you can play it on Screen Top, I believe also on TTS. But Beth put a lot of hard work into that Screen Top, so definitely check that out as well. Check out the campaign. Back us if you can. If you can't, or you've already done it, make sure you're sharing it. And big thanks to the rest of the team, all the hard work that's gone into this. We do look forward to getting this game into your hands as soon as possible, and we're hoping that might even be this year. But beyond that, I hope you have a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend. And as I like to close out streams, also my personal slogan and channel, play games, spread joy. Because that's what it's all about. We're having fun in the community, playing games together. But as we do it, we need to be spreading joy, making sure people feel welcome, and inviting them to the table. So y'all go do that. Invite some people to your table. Play some games, digitally or physically. Have some fun. And spread the joy. Beyond that, I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend.